I'll just introduce myself. I'm Courtney Scherenberg. I'm the technical trainer for our Everpure Food Service Group. Okay, so manufacturers, they have specification requirements. When it comes to warranty replacement costs, they, over the years, have had to replace pieces of equipment on a regular basis in certain areas due to corrosion or excess scaling. And they started to become smart and aware of their water quality and how it was affecting their equipment. And they started to get into these more complicated water specifications. And on the left, that's an espresso brewer, and the right happens to be a steamer. This is a combi oven. Combination oven, which a combi oven is nothing more than an oven that provides steam and convection oven combined. And these combi ovens can run upwards of $70,000. So $70,000 oven, that would be like $70,000 BMW. If they take the $70,000 oven and they don't pay attention to the water quality and they just pump in water, whatever it is, that would be like taking your BMW and driving it through a sandstorm. You're not going to do it, right? So you should take that extra time to understand water quality when it comes to steamers and combi ovens, because these things are pretty expensive pieces of equipment.
What would you say would be the average flow rate of a combi oven for RO?
That's hard to say. They're all different. They don't use a lot of water.
Okay.
One of the issues with combi ovens, different manufacturers have different ways that they feed the water to the equipment. So we only treat the steam water, the cooking water. We don't need to treat the cleaning water because a lot of these things have their own ability to self-clean where chemicals are added. They're like a dishwasher, so you just don't put dishes in it. And we don't want to treat the cleaning water side, and we don't want to treat the any of the water that goes to drain. So we only want to treat the cooking water. Some of the manufacturers, though, they do not split the water supply of the cleaning water and the cooking water. So there's some models that exist out there where they're higher volume than others.
Okay.
But I can try to get you some numbers. I'd have to look at the manufacturer specs because I don't have it memorized.
Yeah, well, that's good information. I mean, for us to dig into to have a better idea of what type of equipment, whether they split the incoming water or whether it's all together. So.
Yeah, Alto Sham would be the brand that has models out there that have one inlet feed where they don't separate it. Their new models, so stuff that's coming out of the manufacturing process now, have a split water feed. But there are a lot of systems existing in the field now that have that single inlet.
Okay. All right, that's helpful.
Espresso machines, like the one there on the left, espresso machines are usually pretty expensive as well. They run from around $5,000, and you may even see stuff $25,000. They have a whole bunch of little tiny parts and tubes and orifices, and all of those things can become very time-consuming to replace and to clean. So a lot of companies, service companies, they'll take an espresso machine out of a facility, give them a new one, take the espresso machine back to their shop to clean it out because it's that time consuming. So again, there's a lot of labor involved in servicing an espresso machine. So we need to make sure that we give them the right water treatment ahead of time so that they can minimize that cost that comes to maintaining that equipment. All right, so for you guys, when you're trying to work through a food service call, you're trying to see what's going on. When it comes to choosing the proper solution, you want to make sure you understand your customer's needs. Okay, what's important to them? We want to know what kind of equipment needs to be treated. So, are we dealing with coffee? Are we dealing with steam? Are we dealing with fountain? How many pieces of equipment do we have? Because if we have a coffee bar with 2 large coffee pots, we want to make sure that we provide the solution to meet the flow rates of both of those coffee pots together, because it's better to give you a solution for both of those combined. Now, what's important to them? Is product quality an issue that they're dealing with? Are they having equipment issues? Are they having both? Is that important to them? Or do they just want a low-cost solution just to have some, better tasting water? Or, oh, somebody told me I need a carbon filter, so that's what I'm asking you for. Are they having current equipment issues? Do they have scale? Do they have corrosion? Do they have slime? Because if they're having those issues, that's going to tell us a lot of things. Because they can have an existing filter on their equipment and still be having scale buildup or still be having corrosion. Because again, a base filter does nothing for those chlorides that are causing the corrosion. So corrosion is a big red flag that something needs to be done to protect the customer and to protect the manufacturer's equipment. The information that you want to know when you come to us at Pentair to size solutions for you. At the very least, you need to know the make and model of the equipment. What brand and what model number are we dealing with? Because a Hoshizaki ice machine is going to use water slightly differently than a Scotsman ice machine. So we want to know those things. And if we at least know that, we can give you properly sized filtration for the flow rate and capacity of that equipment's needs. Now, if you want to get into the water analysis side of things, and we want to know a little bit more about the water quality, then we want to know, where is this equipment located? City and state or zip code would help us figure that out, and our tech service department can dig through that data for you guys. And then the hours of operation. So a school, for instance, a school that is only cooking food for breakfast and lunch hours and then isn't in operation in the evening, that is going to be a different size solution than, let's say, for a 24-hour restaurant, a 24-hour buffet, or even a grocery store, where a grocery store is cooking, baking bread. They're cooking food and baking bread very early in the morning, and then cooking dinner foods for a hot buffet in the evening. The hours of operation are going to come into play there, especially when we start to get into some of the higher cost equipment like reverse osmosis. Because when we get into reverse osmosis, we want to make sure we size the storage tanks properly for the usage of that equipment. When it comes to understanding the applications, at the very least in food service, we need to provide particulate removal. At the very least, there is no excuse in food service to have any application with zero filtration on it, because we need to remove the dirt, number one. Number two, we need to remove the disinfectant, because the chlorine in any of these applications is gonna wreak havoc. On the equipment protection side of things, chlorine and chloramine can cause corrosion because they're gases, and they gas off in our equipment when they're present. And then from the product quality side, if we do not remove the chlorine or the chloramine, they're going to cause weird tasting products. They're going to give us somewhat more earthy, moldy taste in our coffee. Give our ice more of a pool taste, or our drinking water. So we want to make sure we take all of that out. So step one, you will always do better for the customer's equipment if you're at least putting on a carbon filter. Now, the carbon filter will take care of the taste and odor and that particulate removal, the dirt and suspended solids, and it will take out the disinfectant. but it will not take out those things that we need for, or those dissolved minerals that cause corrosion. A basic carbon filter will also not do anything for scale. You would have to have a carbon filter plus scale protectant. And I don't have a bunch of slides to dig into our product today because, again, we don't have a lot of time. We can come back and do that on the next go around. But our carbon filters, our base filters, we have ones with and without scale protectant. And the scale protectant is nothing more than polyphosphate, which I'm sure you guys are familiar with in some of your other scale protectant filters. The polyphosphate will attract calcium molecules. And as the polyphosphate molecules attract calcium, they fall out of suspension. So now you have calcium molecules that cannot stick together with other minerals to form scale, okay? So you get a powdery sort of scale or a mushy scale. So when you use a carbon filter plus polyphosphate, you're going to want to do that on applications where scale is an issue. So ice machines, you want to have scale protectants, coffee, tea, hot water towers, things like that, okay? And even steam equipment. So we have filters with polyphosphate and ones without. But again, none of those will do anything for the corrosive minerals because they're not going to take out the chlorides, okay, or those nitrates or sulfates.